जय हिंद दोस्तों, मैं हूं मेजर मोहम्मद अली शाह और आज मेरा बहुत बड़ा सौभाग्य है. आई एम ट्रूली ऑनर्ड टू हैव अ वेरी फाइन लेडी, वन ऑफ द टॉप casting directors of not just India, of the world, who has done amazing projects, who we all like, revere, and respect. She needs no introduction. You all know her. You all know the name Nandini Shrikent. Very few people would be familiar with her face as well. So here I'm giving you a chance, an opportunity to know her slightly more better. Well, you all have seen films which, well, we will talk about subsequently. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag right now.
Yeah.
Nandini, thank you very much for sparing time. It's an honor to be with you.
Thank you for having me on your chat. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Nandini. Thanks a lot. Nandini, we know you are one of the most पढ़ा लिखा, जो कहते हैं ना, most educated, literate
Oh,
casting directors. Yes, you are, and you've got a master's, in fact, in social communication studies. First, tell us about your education slightly, Nandini, because you are one of the most sophisticated, cultured, and with a very strong, solid reputation. You ask any aspiring actor who has auditioned for you, and there's one thing that they will always say: "Oh, Nandini Shrikant, very polite casting director." So this comes from your education. So we would like to know a bit about your.
oh. Okay. First of all, I think I've become polite over the ages. Let me stand corrected because when I was young and I was casting, I used to be quite frenetic. My education, my father was in a corporate job and it was a transferable job. So we moved from Bombay, Calcutta, Bombay, Bangalore, Delhi. So all metro cities as such. So I had a very fantastic education, but in multiple schools. And then I did English honors, and then I did. It's not a master's; it's a post-graduation PG diploma in social communications and media, which is a phenomenal course that Sapphires has. We had some fantastic teachers and a very fabulous head of department, Jeru Mullah, and they give us an overview of all the communication, everything, all the media resources. So journalism, film, television, the everything, advertising, and then you chose what you wanted to work in further. But the good thing about the course was it wasn't just ke padhao or sikhao type of thing. It also gave you an overview of what great masters and minds had written and spoken about in each of these fields. So it was fabulous to be introduced to, like, say, Chomsky, who didn't know about till I reached the course, and nahi to I would have come straight into film and known nothing. So it was a good, and we had very good journalists who came and taught us and stuff like that.
Right.
So it was a good overview. Yeah.
So when you were studying at Sophia's that time, what was your ambition at that time? Like, what were you aiming for? Was it filmmaking? Was it journalism? Or was it casting? I mean, I don't know. So I would like to know a bit on that.
So, my mom worked in a film organization that had been started by Aruna Vasudev, she's the grand lady of Asian cinema, so to speak. So it's not Bollywood, but Asian cinema. So all the cinema of Asia. And it was a film magazine, and then they started a film festival, which later it was called Cinemaya, and then later it became Ocean Cinefan. It was a very big festival. In fact, lots of filmmakers and directors went and accessed world cinema there, and then subsequently became very good filmmakers. So thoda influence hua unko. So I loved film and I wanted to work in film. So that was the plan. But I didn't know what and all. And when you join film, you say, "हाँ मैं direct करना है." But directing is really hard, and you have to be very present, and you have to have fabulous people management skills more than anything else. That's the thing. It's a challenging, all-encompassing job, and I don't know, maybe one day, but abhi to nahi. Yeah, it's a lot of hard work.
You
Everything
will
is hard
enjoy.
work. That's a lot of hard work. So yeah,
Zoya, Akhtar has played an integral part in your life, in fact.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
we would like to start from the time how you got your first break into casting and how did you go about it?
So
After
I was
passing
a
out from the institute, what did you do?
So I got a traineeship with Govind Helani, who was a great
Thakshak.
filmmaker, and he
Thakshak.
was making Takshak, yeah. And but then knew what I was doing on set because I was quite bewkoof then. But I guess something must have seeped in, and um, and then so I assisted him on Takshak, which has a great song. I don't know if you've heard Rang De.
Of course.
And Tabu dances to it, and I used to know all the steps. So that was the sort of area I was very interested in all that. And then I got very lucky because Nikhil Advani, who's also a mentor, got me onto his team of Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, which is Karan Johar's big mega film. And it was quite insane. It was a very intense film. And while I was working on the film, I had to work very closely with Sharmishta Roy, who was a production designer of great repute and another mentor. And I really learned a lot from her. And then I was ready to work in more films and I was ready to take on the challenge. And I went to meet Zoya to work in the art department because that's what I'd learned. And we were chatting, and she said, "Would you like to try the casting?" And I just jumped into it because it was sounding like a less physically stressful job because production, I mean, working in the art department, you're first in, last out, and it's a lot of work. So I'm sounding like I don't like a lot of work. Maybe that's true, but I'm just joking. And so that's how I got onto Laksh. And it was Farhan Akhtar's second film, and he's an amazing director to work with. He's very good with his team and very, you know, he hears what you're saying. So I had a lot of freedom. I also had to learn a lot. I didn't know anything. I knew five actors, and I used to watch theater, but you really have to really dig deep. Like people who've been in the industry like 2, 3 generations, they know every actor who's been around. But I really had to do my research and figure it out. And fortunately, it was like a year. We had a year to do this casting, and there were 72 characters. The army was also very helpful. I guess they loved the story, and they also provided some army personnel to act in especially the war sequences and all. So they were there, and I got to go to Delhi and test a lot of people from NSD, chup chap say, because they weren't really allowed to do film. And yeah, so it was good. It was challenging, but it was good. And then I worked on the film as an assistant also. So that film is very close to my heart because I saw
I
it
love the
through
part where you
thing.
said chupchap say NSD mein because I know that for the fact that they don't encourage film.
They don't
And then you
encourage.
get to look down upon it.
Yeah. Now I wouldn't do it because now I'd be like, nee, nee, yeah, it's not correct and all. But I was really young then and all, and they were very keen to act. So, in fact, I always mention this Pankaj Tripathi, who is such a famous and such a beloved actor in our industry now. He did a role and he had to quietly come and shoot. And unfortunately, that part got cut. He gets shot and all, that part got edited.
Oh, how painful. Okay.
Oof, I know. I wish he was there because then I'd be like, look, Pankaj Bhati worked with us then. But of course, Farhan, of course, messaged him and told him that it's been edited because that's just part of the game. But yeah, it was like very interesting and some very good actors uh, we work
I
with.
didn't know
And
about
then,
about Pankaj. You know that
yeah,
because
yeah.
Pankaj is a dear friend. We had tried. I mean,
Oh,
we for the first
really?
time. Yeah, in
Yeah.
2001, Pankaj and I tried for the NSD at the same time together. Pankaj got through. I didn't get through NSD.
Oh,
But yeah, so I tried
life
again the
had
second
other
time.
plans for you.
They asked me in the interview that after industry, would you do a film or not? I said, yes, I will do.
Yeah,
Why not? I gave the example of Nasiruddin Shah, Om Puri. I gave the example of
yeah,
Irfan Khan. So many actors.
yeah,
But anyway, that's a different story altogether. But this is totally a revelation for us that that Pankaj Tripathi he also worked for Lakshay, but it got cut. So which only gives a lesson that
yeah,
heartbreaks are part of life, accept it the
yeah,
way they are.
yeah,
But I must commend you one thing, Nandini, we saw Lakshay. I had just, after I didn't get through NSP, I joined the army, the Short
yeah.
Service Commission. We were newly commissioned and we knew this Hrithik Roshan, big star, and the film was coming, Lakshay. And normally, if you see I'm talking about the year 2003 when we were commissioned as
Huh,
officers.
huh.
So people would watch a film for the story or the star cast. तब उस टाइम पे इनके जहन में इतना था नहीं कि कास्टिंग डायरेक्टर कौन है डायरेक्टर
हाँ,
साहब कौन है फिल्म के लोगों को मालूम होता था ठीक है
हुँ।
सो
अभी
एज
भी,
आर्मी
अभी भी।
so as army officer we saw this film
Huh.
and we were blown. Especially the 72 characters, the soldiers that you cast. And I have to tell this to you, I'm speaking right now as a soldier. You are bang on in your work over there, Nandini. Bang on. Seriously.
Thank you. I think the due credit goes to the leader of our gang, which is the director, because he guided us in the right direction. And also, I think I was very lucky to work to meet many actors who work perfectly. I was very fortunate. In fact,
Yeah.
now I get very fuzzy. Who have we cast, ye, wo, and all. But I remember every single moment of Laksh because it was the first. You know.
And tell us about your first meeting with Zoya Akhtar. Like, how you met Farhan first or you met Zoya? I think you met Zoya
I met
first.
Zoya Akhtar first, and she was producing. She was an executive producer on Laksh by then, and we just spoke about film. Film is a passion for many people who work in the industry. Everyone who works in the industry. So we didn't speak about anything specific. It was a general conversation about film, and I guess she said, in her head, maybe she was like, not sure if I'd be able to do it or not, but then it worked out, so that was great. Touch wood. And I've had a great fortune of working with her in quite a few films after that, all her films, and um, it's a lot of fun. So now, actually, I have a partner. His name is Karan Mali. I'm sure you know.
I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
Karan. Yeah, I
yeah.
know. I know.
So we've been working as partners for the last 6 years. For the last 6 years or so, more than 6 years maybe. I don't know. And he also says the best meetings are with Zoya. So because they're a lot of fun also. I mean, work is stressful. Work is always stressful. You have deadlines. You have to shoot. So many things you have to put together. But when you have a sense of humor in the meetings, it just makes things much lighter and more fun. So
So tell me, Lakshya was a very challenging project, and casting
yeah,
72 actors as soldiers and huge
yeah,
cast and such
yeah.
things. So how difficult or easy was it for the director to impose faith on a fresher in casting? Of course, very talented, very intelligent, very educated, very cultured, very sophisticated, very polished, no doubt about that. But how?
Oh.
Yeah.
The thing is, and I always say this in all conversations about casting, it's very collaborative.
Hmm.
So the onus is not only on, I mean, I would say the credit and the onus is not on your shoulders because it is a very collaborative. So there are many suggestions, many things come together. Ideas are always considered. So, I think because it was my first, I was really supported by the producer, the director, and they also gave me a very free hand. So whether they were good or bad suggestions or good or bad auditions, I was very comfortable presenting them. And when you're comfortable doing that and you're not holding back, then but you're showing the good or the bad, then it's very easy because you get a sense कि अच्छा हमको ये नहीं अच्छा लग रहा है, ये ठीक लग रहा है. Then you keep moving in the right direction. Direction is the key word basically.
Right.
So yeah,
I would also want to see, normally in Fauji films about army,
yeah, yeah,
as a person who has served in the army, we people are very critical about army films. We
right.
generally don't like them. We like, what rubbish is this? What bunker? This is not what army does and such things.
ऐसे क्या यूनिफॉर्म पहना है.
Yeah,
So in fact,
exactly. You got it.
yeah,
You got it. You got it. High
yeah,
five for that. ये क्या
yeah,
uniform है?
yeah,
So minor details, like for example, a button in a uniform. There is a 11 एक तरीका है और एक
yeah,
cross तरीका है. So we
yeah,
have that particular. We do an 11. We don't do a cross on a buttons.
yeah,
So we
yeah,
have that particular about small things, which unfortunately many some people do the research, some people do not. So many
yeah.
costume designers don't understand what 11
Mm.
means. So I've had this personal experience as well. So, but here when we saw Lakshya, we saw everything was right, and we
Yeah,
found the uniform was accurate. Beat of
yeah.
a cadet, beat of an
Yeah,
officer.
they were very particular, and there was also someone from the army who was advising, and it was very. In fact, when I was on the film as an AD, Ashtaman, when I was on the film as an AD, my colleague, her name is Lakshmi Priya Devi. In fact, she's going to be making her first film now. She put up the ranks in the bedroom in our room, and so every day we would mug it up. general, major general, अभी तो मुझे याद नहीं है ठीक से, but we knew it by heart. And all those are very important things to know when you came onto set. Who should stand here? Who should be here? And the costume designer he's now works in Hollywood, Arjun Bhasin. He was also given great detail, very detailed about, like, नहीं तो ये बोला नहीं uniform बना रहे, क्या है uniform है, but it was just done in a very detailed fashion. So I'm working on another war, not war. I'm working on another army film now that would be
Oh,
very
wow.
interesting for you to hear. It's called Sam Bahadur,
Oh,
and
yes, of course. With Mia Gulzar, of course, of course.
yes, yes,
In
yeah.
fact, my father has served with Sam Bahadur,
Oh,
with
really?
the
Was
Sam
he?
Manekshaw. That's right.
He was in the
Yeah.
Gurkha regiment, or he served?
So my father was in the artillery, but
Uh-huh,
in fact, one of my father's TEDx talk, which is very, very famous
huh,
there on YouTube, he
huh,
tells the experience in the 1971 war when General Manekshaw came there to
huh.
Longewala, where my father was deployed, where the border
Oh,
film
I
would
know
have
the.
seen.
Yeah, yeah. That's there in
So
the
he,
film.
so he came.
And
He came.
so he was there. No, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please tell us. This is very
No, no.
interesting. Yeah.
So he came in a chopper, General Manek. That he was the chief. General
Huh.
Sam Manekshaw came, and he stood on the table where a table was laid, of snacks and chai and all for the chief to come in. I don't need all this. He put aside. He stepped up on the table and he put his hands on his waist and he said, "Boys, I'm sending you across. Ensure victory." And then he gave 3 points. His speech was very crisp, short and clear.
Huh.
I'm sorry to be speaking here. I don't want to
No,
be
no, this is so interesting. I'm going to talk about the film, and this bit is there in the film, actually. Yeah,
okay. So he
yeah,
gave 3 points. He said, "Boys, I'm sending you across." First, he said, "Ensure victory." Then he said, "The prisoners of war would not be ill-treated. There would be no booty taking or plunder." And lastly, he said, "Keep away from the Pakistani begums." Then he stepped off the he stepped off the table, jumped off,
yeah,
and they saw his helicopter flying in the horizon.
yeah.
And it's there in my father's TEDx talk. It's very, very famous.
How
And
fantastic. So,
yeah.
actually, my father's brother actually served with him and was part of the Indo-China 1960. So, I can't remember the date of Lung Lai. I should know it. I worked on this film, but
What's your Chacha's name?
his name is Shari.
Brigadier Sherry Sapru.
No, Shrikent. I don't know if he was Kent or Shrikent because they added the Shri after independent. Yeah, he was Shrikent.
All
Yeah,
right, all right.
yeah,
Yeah. So again, and
uh,
because under General Sam Manekshaw's leadership, we
yeah,
we fought few wars and we always achieved victory. Like in
yeah,
1962, China War. In fact, there is this famous thing where the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi had told him that right now we would like to attack China. So he said, no,
yeah.
right now it's not the right time because winters, the snow is melting,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
we are not really prepared. And he called us sweetie. There's a
And
lot
he,
of data.
and then he wrote a date. He said, "This is when we should attack." And it's so Meghna has worked on this film script, I think, for many years, and the attention to detail is remarkable in the story. It's remarkable, and it's a very colorful life of this army officer. I mean, fantastic. So all the wars and all these moments and all are very beautifully recorded in the script. It was very exciting for me to read because my father's brother served with him and actually became a POW with the Chinese for a short while. Yeah, yeah. It was a very intense war, and we didn't do very well in that war. And then when I was reading the script, also, it's interesting because you read about people who are like whose children my parents know. Like there's a lot of connection. Like General Daulat Singh, his next to next generation are friends with my family, and so and he was a very supportive of Sam Shaw. So stuff like that. Very nice.
Right.
I'm
One
looking
of your
forward.
assistants had given me a call. They wanted me to audition for Brigadier Thappar's character,
Ah,
and so
right.
immediately because Brigadier Thapar subsequently went on to become the chief of the army staff, General Thapar, and then he was the Indian ambassador to Afghanistan and such things.
That's right.
And his
Yeah.
son is Karan Thapar, the famous.
Exactly. That's another thing. Yeah. In fact, yeah.
So I had
So
just interviewed Karan Thapar the way I'm interviewing you on my channel
yeah.
just a few days before that. So I messaged
Right.
Karan
Yeah.
that I would be most likely I would be auditioning for your father's role and
Father's
all.
role.
That was a
Uh,
great incentive. Anyhow, so now tell me, Nandini, when you cast,
hmm.
what is it that you actually look for primarily? Is it the look? Is it the skill? Is it the person should suit the part? What is it exactly? Because there are a lot of people who would be casting for a character.
Yeah.
What do you primarily look
I
for?
think it's a combination of everything you've said. Um, the look, I think, would come last because that's something that can always be worked on. But of course, it has to fit a little bit. I mean, you can't cast someone who's 50 for a 30-year-old role. It's a bit complicated. Acting is very important. It's critical to any role you cast. And an understanding of the character and being able to play a little with the character to, up now it. That's very critical. That's very important. So
There's one
all those
doubt
things.
which I would like to ask you. As
Yeah.
a lot of actors, when we sit together for a cup of tea, say at Prithvi, or we're having an Irish coffee or
Hmm.
something, at that time we ask that why is it that
Irish
casting
coffee without whiskey, na?
Irish or whiskey? Exactly.
It's a big scam. Don't have it. Acha.
So
So,
we are like, okay, so an audition is a must. As I say, नहीं हमको नहीं
yeah,
चाहिए, हमको तो आपको काम मालूम है, वो client को दिखाना है, तो कल PM, PPM, whatever, कल वो
PPM.
meeting है, such things. So many times I have seen, not about, I'm not talking about you in general, I'm talking about casting director, people who do casting, even for ads in
Hmm.
general. So they, अगर आप किसी एक्टर का काम से वाकिफ हो, आप जानते
Hmm.
हो what an actor is capable of delivering, but
Hmm.
yet I have noticed an audition is a must for the casting directors. Why
Yeah.
is that so?
So that you can actually see it in its reality, in its entirety. Otherwise, it's all like based on guesswork. And see, there's some actors who've got a body of work. You're not going to have to see Pankaj Tripathi today.
Right,
Obviously, you don't need to test him because he's got a body of work. You can see his range
right,
across various films. And range means high, low, angry, happy, comedy. Everything is present now. It's there on Netflix and Amazon to just quickly have a look at. But otherwise, you are showing a director. We don't want to use too much of imagination. Let's see the reality. ये scene है, आप कर रहे हो scene. It's this is how the person has done the scene. This is the person's how this person's take on this character and this scene. Does it work for the director? Does it work for the film? So it's important to see that. It's important to see the physicality of the actor, and it's just good to get a sense of whether it's matching or not. So it's a very useful tool for casting, and it's a useful tool for actors to get a role because I may look at you and say he can't play Brigadier Thappad, but if you send an audition, I'll be like, oh my god, he's really cracked it. This is it. This is the pitch. This is the tone. We'll just give him a haircut, and he's going to look like Brigadier Thappad. So that's the thing.
yeah, I get what you're saying, because
Yeah,
like Vishal Bhardwaj when he was making Heather,
yeah.
and he cast me as an army major in the initial scene
I
where.
remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, and Tigmanshu Dhulia, when he signed me up for Yara, and he
yeah,
said, "But this character that I'm casting you for, you don't look like that character at all. दूर दूर तक तुम्हारी look वैसी है ही नहीं. कोई बोल
yeah,
नहीं पाएगा कि तुमने वो character किया भी है." So
yeah,
I got him the result, and
yeah.
later on he was very happy. He said, "Yeah, bhai, you
Hmm.
have done something very contrary to your personality." But now
Huh,
I would like to give an example over here. I was
huh,
reading the interview of some senior actors like Neena Gupta, Roni Hatangri, where Rohini Hatangri had mentioned that once she got a call from a casting director, and they, in the garb of a look test, in a way, they wanted her to audition or something like that. So
hmm.
this like as you give the example of Pankaj Tripathi, so you already have the body of work of such
Yeah,
senior actors we all are
yeah.
familiar with. So they do not require a test or an audition like that.
So,
So she
it's a bit, I understand that. And it's a bit gray, especially with the senior actors, because many get very offended. But, and I don't think it's nice to do it in a tricky way, like call her in and then, in the guise of that. That's not a nice thing to do to any actor, any actor. I mean, whether they're senior or they've just come in. But I do feel that it helps in the process, in the cinematic process, to see an actor perform the role and do the role, do the lines. It helps the director, who's the vision maker, get a sense of how to work it. So it's a gray area because, of course, I mean, um, especially the senior generation, are not comfortable auditioning. There are some who are, and I feel very grateful because it's a short shot. Because I could recommend Rohini Hatangadi for a role. I was not the casting director who called her for the look test now, so I don't get confused. But I could uh, suggest her to the director, and he or she may not see that. He or she may not be able to visualize her in the role and say no. And actually, she may be perfect for the role. So that's the crux of it. Whereas there are some directors who worked with her or who are very familiar with her work, and they'll be like, "Ha ha, she's right, she's right." So it depends. It depends. I mean, we
Right.
don't audition the stars either, you know. Yeah.
Got it. No, I will come to this. I can't hold myself back from some very interesting comments. One of the interesting comment is from one Colonel Tyagvi
Uh huh.
Raghavendra. He writes, Ali, I'll highlight the comment over here. In fact, yeah, Ali just asked her, was she there in Nimu Leh? I was twice there in 8 Mountain Div Single Regiment when basketball scenes were shot in my unit. In fact, a scene was also done in my
I
office as QIC.
I was very much there. I was very
Oh,
much there. I was like a junior assistant director, so they probably sent me off up a hill to make sure nothing came into frame. But I was very much there.
sir, सुना
Yes.
आपने? Well, so sir was my senior, and after we left
Yeah.
the army, we were working together for a while.
You know, we were in Leh for 3 months. We were there in April, I think, and then we came back in July. April was horrible. It was cold and dark early, and we had very long hours of shoot. And eventually, I think even poor Farhan fainted because it was, you know, the oxygen and all that. And Mr. Bachchan was there. He treated us to a meal, I remember. But when we came back in July, the sun was out. It was so beautiful. It must have been a beautiful place to be posted at. Yeah.
Did you
So
guys acclimatize when you went to Ladakh, or you
yeah,
just
yeah,
landed
yeah,
up
yeah,
there?
yeah.
Okay,
No, no, no.
you
We
guys.
acclimatized. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We had
That's
about a
very
week of
important.
acclimatization. Yeah, before coming.
As soldiers, we acclimatized. When I had gone there
Yeah,
first
yeah.
time, so there
Huh.
was a nursing assistant who came to take my blood pressure and such things. And I was feeling very normal. I was feeling I'm
Huh.
perfectly fine. And
Yeah.
after he took the BP, he said, "साहब अभी तो आपको ठीक लग रहा है, मगर
आप
आधे
लेट
घंटे के
जाइए.
बाद आपको चक्कर आएगा."
That's
आप-
right. Yeah, no, we acclimatized and we were there. We were shooting for 3 months, and the funny thing is, we all lost a lot of weight when we
Oh
came back to
wow,
the plains. That because of the, you know, everything, you just climbing up a staircase takes so much more energy from you. Fantastic.
wow, wow,
Yeah, one of my
super.
best experiences being in Ladakh actually shooting for the film, and we shot at the
So,
IMA.
oh yes,
Yeah,
yes,
sorry,
yes.
we were in Ladakh in June, not April. We were in the IMA. I remember. Yeah.
All right. And how was your experience at the IMA? Because you must be like really fascinated by actually seeing the cadet training going in the cycles
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
berets and the erect positive salute and such things. And
It
then
was really, it was intense. And then, you know, Ritik had to do all those scenes where he's training. And that itself was intense. And then the army guys would do it so
he got
easily.
very
And all.
right.
It
He
was,
all got he got them all right. In fact, I must say.
yeah, yeah. It was really fantastic. I have a lot of family from the army. So it was very nice to go and see the IMA and, you know, just see where lots of family members have been through. Yeah,
Right.
it was
That
good. It
is
had a lot
so.
of energy. Yeah.
I'm really intrigued about your army projects in particular, though I know you've done a lot of work. You're known for Dawn, for Dil Dhadakne Do, and for
Yeah.
Kabhi Khushi Ko Kabhi Gham, and there are so many. I mean, with big
Yeah.
superstars and all. But I'm particularly, actually, really very intrigued to know more about your experience with the army when you were shooting with them. Before we go back to what I'm really, really keen in, let's go on to your experience about working with big superstars like Shah Rukh Khan and Dawn or Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham, and because with Ritik you had
So,
worked, you've done, yeah,
yeah, I mean, Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham, I was an assistant director. So again, I was still on the learning curve. I mean, I'm still on a learning curve. You never stop learning. But you know, I don't have too much up close and personal experience with the stars because my job doesn't involve so much interaction with them. But I do want to say that I mean, they're all thoroughly professional and really. it's not easy to be it's not easy to act. You say, na, ye actors itne lucky hai, idhar ja rahe, udhar ja rahe. They've got the, when we were shooting also, like they'd have the trailers and all, na. There's air conditioner mein baithe hai, There's a lot of like thought and act, like you have to be physically, mentally so present to be able to shoot. And to shoot is also, you're doing it within the a producer is putting money in. They're very conscious. Nobody wastes money. Everyone, like, you got to finish your work within a particular time. If everyone works towards that, I've seen that it's a real community that works towards, and everyone works very hard. Starting with Shah Rukh Khan, and when it comes on to set, he just adds so many things and gives us so much, embellishes every performance in such a fabulous way that it's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Nandini, in casting, like
Huh.
say there's a project, like say for example, let's take example of Laksh again. The
Huh.
lead cast, is it the casting director who tells the director, who prompts the director that this ye acha baithega, ye character, or is it the lead cast decided by the director himself and the supporting actors, the casting director decides? कैसे होता
Yeah.
है वो?
So mainly, usually when you have a superstar on board, your film gets greenlit. Everything comes together. So it's like Shah Rukh Khan is doing Dawn, so now we can make Dawn because
Right.
the producers, the banks, everyone has put the money in because he's a bankable star. Then you get moving on all the other characters, all the speaking roles, basically. Yeah.
The other comment by Colonel Raghav, one sec. Ali, there is
Uh-huh.
one incident. One shooting in my office, accidentally wall clock was broken. To my surprise, the exchange with view wall clock next day. Oh God, I don't know. Can you read that?
Yeah, yeah. I
It's,
kind of vaguely remember this.
okay, all right,
I
all
exchanged
right.
with you all clock the next day. Yeah,
So he is an
yeah,
army officer himself. So
right.
right. Okay, now tell me one thing, now, because now casting, there are few casting directors who have taken casting to another league altogether. In fact,
Yeah,
when I was working with Himanshu Dhulia, I did Yara and then Ragdesh with him. So he was telling us when he was casting for Bandit Queen, Shekhar Kapoor. At that time, he also went to NSD, just like you.
huh.
He also
Okay.
got a lot of actors from NSD. In fact, Sudha Prasad was there, and a lot
Yeah,
of actors.
yeah,
So, so now casting director has become a full time profession. It was very unconventional earlier. A casting director मतलब आ रहे हैं इसको बोलो casting कर देगा. But now it's like बाकायदा there is a proper designation
correct.
of
Yeah,
a casting director, and it's
yeah,
thanks to you, Nandini,
yeah.
Shrikent, and few
No, no,
others
no, no.
who have.
I have many, no, I would love to take credit for everything, but I shouldn't. I have a bunch of peers. They've been casting from around the time, say a year, couple of years after me, or during my time. They may have started as assistants, and they're all doing a spectacular job. So everyone works with different directors, and I mean, there are some fabulous movies that they all come out with. There's Shanu Sharma, who does all of Yash Raj's casting work. There's Mukesh Chabra, who does a phenomenal amount of work and has done some exceptional films, if I may say so. There's Casting Bay, that's Abhishek Banerjee and Anmol Ahuja. There's Shruti Mahajan, who just did Gangubai. I am going to miss out on names and then feel very guilty later. Panchmi Gauri, who does a lot of work with Dharma now. There's Atul Bongya, who's also a very good, he does a very good workshops with actors for before they perform. और कौन है बहुत है, there are a lot of very good actors.
Hani Trehan, and they are.
But Honey तो has now become a director.
Yeah,
I'm
of
like,
course,
thank
of
God
course.
you become a, in my head I'm like, thank God you become a director. वो films हमको आ जाए यार.
Good one. But then,
Yeah.
when a casting director becomes a director, do you think it would be prudent for him also to play the role of a casting director, or he should outsource a casting director? What is your take on that?
नहीं यार ठीक है. It's okay. It's not. I mean, it's a very big pond. There are lots of roles, and some casting directors came here to be actors. Even my partner Karan Mali is also an actor. They came here to be actors. Now they've found quality and good quality work is happening as casting directors, and they understand. Like I've learned so much from my partner about how to deal with actors. I used to be a little pushy. "Ki karo, karo." Now I know it's difficult. They have to work out the process and then come in. And I've
Right.
missed out on a bunch of casting people, but now there are some very good casting directors in the
Yeah,
mix.
like I know, like Mukesh Chabra also, he was an actor. I mean, he
Yeah,
was with NSD,
he
this
still acts.
literature,
In fact,
he was
yeah,
doing with them. And then,
yeah,
so, but now he himself is a brand. In fact, he's done. अच्छा मैं तीन पिक्चरें करी है आयरॉनिकली मैं और भी
yeah.
करी हैं तीन पिक्चरें जो मुकेश ने कास्टिंग करी है उसमें
Right.
बीट हैदर बीट बजरंगी भाईजान बीट यारा ओके
Huh.
बट आयरॉनिकली तीनों में मेरी कास्टिंग डायरेक्टर ने करी लाइक विशाल भारद्वाज गॉट मी इन हैदर कबीर खान
Yeah.
गॉट मी इन बजरंगी भाईजान तिग्माश दुले गॉट मी इन यारा
Hmm.
so now how much is the casting director say and how much is the director say for getting a role supposing
So,
I come
nah, finish what you were saying. Sorry, I interrupted.
so supposing I come to you as an aspiring actor any aspiring actor comes to you
Yeah,
and you don't even audition him
yeah,
for some reason no not you not Nandini Shrikent would not do
yeah, yeah.
that
I
I'm
got it.
talking
Yeah.
about a director a casting director
Huh.
but then the director has seen him doing perform on stage in a play
Yeah,
is familiar with his work in
yeah,
theater so the director has faith that
yeah.
नहीं भाई ये बंदा वो role कर लेगा so how much say does a casting director have and how much say does a director have
So, like I said earlier, and I repeatedly say, it's a very collaborative process. So, the final call is with the director. The final
okay
call is always with the director.
right
Much as we'd like to take the final call is with the director, but it's a collaboration. Sometimes the final call that the director is taking, one doesn't agree with, then you argue it out and you change it. Also in casting, it's not just कि अरे वो मिल गया cast हो गया. It's a lot of work that goes on. Say the director likes you. Somebody is going to call you in. Somebody is going to test you. Somebody is going to show that to the director. Somebody is going to speak to the production. Somebody is going to make sure that you get onto the film via the. That's all done by the casting person. So till you get onto set and shoot, we don't have final. We're not done till you're on set and you say, "Acha, the camera has rolled. Okay, you're done. You've been cast now. So like it's finished. The job is done." And so it's a collaborative process. It's conversation, it's discussion. Everything comes together. But I always look towards my director for guidance, and sometimes sometimes it even happens that I don't understand, okay, why are they taking this person? And then I
hmm
watch the movie and I'm like, oh my god, you were right. And sometimes I watch the movie and say, you were no, ये गलत बात होगी. So it's
right
yeah, it's hits and misses, but it's you work with them. Nothing in film is done alone. Nobody can take credit and say, "मैं." Not even a director can come onto a stage and say, "I've done this on my own," because it is a huge community that comes together to create this vision that you see on screen, and that's the beauty of film. That's the beauty of the film community. You know,
right
I talk
right
about unity in our country and all. You just have to come onto a film set. There are people from all over the country, different communities. Everyone's working together for those 12 hours to make sure that it's an optimum use of time and that everything comes out the way it should. It's phenomenal. Yeah.
right I was
So,
having
yeah.
this cup of coffee with Nalini Ratnam after release of
Nalini
Khoobsurat
Ratnam's another good casting.
exactly
Dekho, my
exactly
things started flying because I missed out on some names. I was
right
also,
right
yeah.
Kanika Berry yeah
Kanika Berry. I was thinking
right
of Seher Latif,
Say
rest in
Latif
peace,
of
who is
course
such a
yeah
wonderful casting director who we've
yeah
lost last year.
yeah
So, yeah.
Okay, so I was having this cup of coffee with Nandini Ratnam, and she was telling me that when she was casting for Khoobsurat, she
Huh.
actually studied Fawad Khan. She had been following him for his social media, for his work, his serials, whatever. And then after a long study on the character Tab Jake, she recommended his name to the director.
Hmm.
So it, as you said, long drawn process.
Yeah.
So ऐसा कभी आपके साथ हुआ है that you have been eyeing an actor for a long time, thinking ये इस रोल में जब मैं ऐसी कोई फिल्म बनाऊं या कास्टिंग करूं उसकी उसमें सही बैठेगा ये
all the time. Every time I watch, now there's so many shows to watch, and I'm like, really want to work with this actor, really want to work with that actor. But I mean, like, actors get angry also. They're like, you haven't called me, you haven't called me. I'm like, boss, how do I call you? I'm doing this sort of film. You don't fit into the zone. I'm waiting to work with you.
A
So
very good thing that I want to ask you about when you said just now, like, you don't fit the bill about this. Like, there have been actors like Sir Laurence Olivier. If you see Hamlet, if you see Othello, if you see his other, if you see him in films, in Othello, he's a totally different person. In Hamlet, he's a totally different person. So there are some actors again in India, like I will give the example of Nasiruddin Shah Sahab. So
mm,
he's so versatile. He can play Mahatma
so
Gandhi,
good. Yeah,
and yet he can play somebody like a Tarzan character, like in Jalwa.
that's
He
right.
was a He-Man.
Yeah, yeah,
So when you say, okay, you do not fit this part, an actor अंदर से सोच रहा होगा कि भाई इनको मेरी capability नहीं पता है,
yeah,
इनको मेरी versatility नहीं पता है, मैं क्या
yeah,
उतर के
yeah.
work कर सकता हूँ. So how do you do justice to that?
I think one has to keep working so that you have a plethora of roles to offer an actor. You have to keep working so that, like, different stories, different scripts, and different things. And also, I think it also boils down to who you're working with. There's some directors who are very willing to take a risk and try someone in a different role, and there's some who want to go in the same safe route. Both work, as long as the film is the way they want it to be. So, yeah,
So, if you were this director, if you were directing a film, would you
yeah.
like to experiment, take a risk, or ठीक है,
I think it
don't?
depends on the script. It depends on what story one is making. If it's a rom com where the primary story is about a boy or a girl, or a boy and a boy, depending on what the story is about, or a girl, then you know that the rom com has parents, and also how much risk can you take, because you want to get the family right so that it's entertaining and it's fun. But if you're making a Heather, it's a lot of scope because it's Shakespeare and their characters are so exciting and so delicious. So yeah, those
Superb,
types.
yeah,
Yeah.
superb.
Hmm. Yeah.
Superb. There's so much to learn from your insight. There's so much to gain from it, and I'm
I'm
sure
still
viewers,
learning.
that's very nice of you to say. Very, very humble of you. Tell me, though I know, and I would just like to know, you are married to a very fine actor, Neil Bhupanam.
I
He is,
am. Yeah.
yeah. So he is, in fact, he has worked with my cousin Imad, and I've seen that
Yeah.
film I was telling you about, which was shot in Imad's kitchen, and Imad was
Yeah.
a
Which I haven't seen yet, actually. I want to watch it.
actually,
Yeah.
देखो, अभी ख्याल आया, before the show, I
Yeah.
told you I've seen the film. I haven't seen the film. I've seen the rushes. Rushes
Uh-huh.
through the camera only you've
Yeah.
shown me. So उसमें.
It was going to
So
some festivals and all, na? That's what I heard. Yeah. Yeah.
that's right. That's right. So tell me, how is it living with an actor? When you are a casting director and you have an eye for talent. When you see a film, you see somebody on the road, or you go to Prithvi, you find he actor is character created
It's
is
really
audition.
funny you asked me this question. Uh, I was very awkward when we started dating also. And then Neil was like, but Neil Bhupalam is his name. He was like, big deal, yeah, who cares? Nobody cares. He said, nobody cares or anything. And strangely, we haven't really worked together. Whatever jobs that we've done where I'm the casting director and he's been cast has been like you through the director, and which I'm quite relieved about, because it's not about, but it's weird. I feel very uncomfortable. Also, I'm very worried that I'll present him and then they'll say, nay, not him, and then I'll feel bad. So I just like to keep the equation a little separate. As I said earlier, it's a huge pond. He's touchwood, uh, getting some great work and working with some very interesting directors. They are his own relationships that he's created, and they like him very much, so they enjoy working with him. So it's like that. There's been no real occasion where I've had to push him or push a director to take him. So I'm quite relieved, because घर की बात घर रखे और काम की बात अलग.
Of
Yeah,
course. He's a
yeah.
great actor, and whenever he has a tremendous presence on screen, in fact. And so, but you being a casting director, you know how to कहाँ पे actor का काम आप you have an eye for talent. So कभी आप उनको tips देते हो कभी कि भाई ये performance अच्छी थी मगर इसको ऐसा नहीं, don't interfere with
Forget it. Yeah. Kabhi kabhi I gave and all that. I don't think he really listens.
her. All right. So
Wisely, he
super.
doesn't listen.
Nandini, I am so enjoying this conversation with you. I don't want it to end, but I know that you are busy as well. But also, I would like to know that what are your plans, Agit? Would you ever would want to see yourself as a filmmaker or a producer or kya?
Oh, these are very difficult questions to answer. I have a 4.5-year-old kid at home. So right now, my plans are to manage work and home and make sure I have enough time with him and with work. That's my primary thing. And I don't know, yeah, maybe in the future one will do something. My partner is so takes such initiative that in lockdown, he and his wife, who's a director, Manvi Bedi, they made a show which is on MX Player, and I was like, wow, that's called initiative. But who knows what? It's a wonderful time to be in this industry because there's such interesting work and such interesting stories being told, and that shall only continue. So hopefully, yeah, one day. Dekhte hain. But right now, I'm trying to do our jobs well. Even that's challenging, you know. Ek to there was COVID, and then like meeting actors has become so difficult. A lot is done online, and you have such good scripts. You want to do justice to them. So yeah, one day at a time.
Nandini Shrikent, it's been such a pleasure, such an honor to be in conversation with you, and you've been extremely gracious and very generous with your time. Truly appreciate that. And before we part ways, any message you would like to give to the aspiring actors of our country, to the youngsters who look up
Oh,
that someday, who are totally in awe of you, totally yet एक बस 2 मिनट मिल जाए नंदनी श्रीकांत के साथ, people have an illusion कि अगर नंदनी
yeah.
श्रीकांत को मिल जाएंगे तो हम स्टार बन जाएंगे. ऐसा
Oh,
लोग
oh,
लोगों
oh.
का मानना है, सोचना है.
Yeah.
So any message you would like to give to those people?
I want to say keep watching good cinema, keep watching good cinema, and watch as much theater as possible. Um, don't chase the big roles. Work. Keep working. At some point, you will be delighted with what you do. You'll be satisfied with the roles, even if you're saying, "Yeah, bada chota," and all. Just keep at it. Don't wait for some big break. That's not the route to take. Yeah, be a
Superb.
working actor.
Thank
Yeah,
you so much, Nandini, and blessings to your 4.5-year-old, and
yeah.
hi to Neil, and thank you very much. May you continue doing such great work, and may you keep bringing and discovering such new actors, and may our viewers enjoy watching your work.
Thank you so much for having me here. Thanks a lot. It was a great chat. Bye.
Thank you, Nandini. Bye.